hit the record button. There we go. So good morning. My name is Art Jones, and I'm the principal consultant at the Art of Inbound Marketing. That's shortened to the Art of to TAO. That's the Tao. And it just so happens that that's all about the Chinese philosophy of alignment and harmony. So the work I do as the principal consultant at Tao Marketing is to help founders and businesses gain alignment with themselves first, so they can align with their ideal prospects in the market, so they can accomplish more. That's the short version, but we're all about establishing alignment and harmony, and we'll do a little bit of that, searching for alignment and harmony and what leadership is as we dig into this subject. But before we begin, I'd like to introduce Charlene Burke and have her tell you a little bit about who she is as our co-host for a while today.
Well, thank you, Art. So I'm Charlene Burke. I'm the founder of Search by Burke, founded in 2008, working with businesses to provide business research, competitive intelligence, market research, and when needed, search marketing programs. But more importantly to me is that in 2014, I founded Grow Because You Know, where I help individuals to grow with the right tools. And that could include blogs, marketing, social media training, but what's really dear to my heart is mastermind groups. I facilitate mastermind groups for solopreneurs and very small business owners.
Fantastic. Thank you, Charlene. And thanks everybody that's in the stream and joining us today. Thank you. Thank you. If you tell a little bird, we'll get a bigger crowd because, the tribe that believes that leadership is important, I think is going to get some gems from this because I've done some research and it kind of builds on my idea of what this notion of nature versus nurture is. And to begin, I'll set the table by quoting William Shakespeare from the 12th Night. He said, "Be not afraid of greatness. Some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them." And in the world we live in today, each of us has an opportunity for greatness because the playing field has been leveled. Platforms like Blab and the tools I have here in front of me, all these mobile devices that can take my ideas and have them travel around the world at the speed of the internet, empowers each of us to lead. And whether we embrace that or not is up to us. But when we do embrace it, this Blab is to discuss a little bit about if we don't think we are empowered or equipped to be a leader, can we learn to be a leader? And, one of my foundational ideas is that humans are tribal. And that simply means that, I'm from New Jersey. We don't have a baseball team to speak of, not a professional baseball team. So I'm a New York Yankee fan. And I wear pinstripes at every opportunity. I'm part of that New York Yankees tribe. My son-in-law is from Plymouth, Massachusetts. He is a New England everything fan. So he's a Red Sox fan, which puts him in a different tribe. And he's converted my daughter to be a Red Sox fan. So, tribal at that level is pretty fun and interesting to talk about. And it drills down. But the notion of being a founder today of any business, large or small, we are the tribal leader of the community, of the culture that we create. And that comes with responsibility, because maybe there's a secret handshake that lets people know that they're part of that tribe. But the culture, the norms, the folkways, the mores that you establish in your tribe are how you lead. And so back to leadership. The notion that power and authority, they used to be key, they have always been key components of leadership. In the last century, we led with a lot of carrot and stick. Do this or else. Salespeople, deliver the quota or else. Now that hasn't really changed, but in the last century, we talked a lot about people as cogs in the wheel. Henry Ford was famous for bringing people into the assembly line process, and they were paid very well, but they were essentially cogs in his wheel of producing automobiles. And that model followed us for 100 years through the last century. in many ways, it devalued our humanness and made us just integral to the bottom line. And that dehumanization, we accepted it. We prospered on it. But I think as we come into this new century, we are taking a different approach because we value ourselves more, and power and authority have changed a little bit. While power and authority remain components of leadership, the very nature is changing dramatically to the interconnected and interdependent nature of the world because of the internet. We talk about the global village. Well, my screen is minimized right now, but if I widen my Blab screen, Blab is showing us how connected we are because there's a map in the upper right-hand corner that shows where people are dialing in from. And I know that Trevor is somewhere in the UK. There's people on this Blab from all over the planet. That interconnectedness is tribal. We all believe in Blab. We know the Blab's secret handshakes. But the power of these tools gives us more influence and access to power, more power than we've ever had before. The power was in the hands of J. Paul Getty in the last century. The oil barons, the railroad barons, the newspaper barons. And now each of us has a blog or an opportunity to have one. Maybe we blog on LinkedIn. Maybe we blog on our own platform. That allows us to wield power differently than it was in the past. There's a source of shifting moral authority. If my ideas can lead and build community around my ideas, then I'm thrust into the role of leader. And, quoting Shakespeare again, be not afraid of greatness, because if you blog and people like your ideas, greatness is thrust upon you and leadership is thrust upon you. You can't shy away from that. But on the bell curve of leadership, on the bell curve, that's like the curve of innovation. Some people are born. It's in their DNA because their mother was a leader, their father was a leader. They have it inherent in their DNA. And we all agree that things can be passed down through DNA, not just high blood pressure, but leadership skills. It's you can hand it down. On the other end of the spectrum, there are people that on the other side of the bell curve that are just not able to pick up the mantle of leadership no matter how hard they try, for a host of reasons. They are just incapable. But that leaves the biggest part of the bell curve right here in the center. Leaders on the left and people incapable on the right, but here in the center is where most of us live. And that's where the opportunity is. And that's where I believe we can all learn to be better leaders. And so it takes this idea. I thought that this Blab would be a debate over nature versus nurture. But as I did a little research to expand my knowledge on this subject, I think nurture really makes a difference. And I think it makes a difference because we are in a different century. 2016, we're kind of deep into this century, but the landscape has changed. And that's really, really important. I'm going to go through the 7 things that I found that I believe are the nurturing that we can do with ourselves. And this is what we can do to become and build better leaders. The core competency is, as I believe, being self-aware. And, I think I know that, but I think after my research and hearing so many thought leaders say the same thing, I'm confident that that is it. And self-aware it requires hard work. And there's something I learned when I worked in the Fortune 100 company Xerox Corporation many years ago. as I was in management training to ascend, and it's called the Johari window. And my pen is running out of ink. There's 4 quadrants to the Johari window.
Okay.
There's 4 quadrants. Quadrant number 1, upper left-hand corner, known to self. Things we know about ourselves and others know about us. Mm-hmm. Below that, on the left, blind self. Things others know about us that we do not know. That's an interesting one, right? Things that others know about us that we do not know. In the upper right-hand corner, hidden self. Things we know about ourselves that others do not know. And number 4 is unknown self. Things neither we nor others know about us.
That which is yet to be discovered.
That is yet to be discovered. And in order to be self-aware, this is the work. This is the Johari window, is those 4 quadrants that we need to work on to become self-aware. And I'm going to go through a few things that I think help us on that path. And this one's really, really neat. I think we all aspire to this, but again, I think all of these things require work and commitment to do the work. It's become a fair witness. Become a fair witness. And to be a fair witness means to report your experience as accurately and neutrally as possible. The more emotional attachments you have to something, the more challenging it is to be a fair witness of that thing.
So you're saying that we should maintain a level of objectivity?
Yes. Most of us are very emotionally attached to ourselves and our own success. And I learned a skill when I was learning to negotiate. It was like, go to the balcony when things get tough and watch the action. And
rise above it. Okay.
And rise above it. And this notion of being a fair witness means that when we are in the moment and we're trying to be self-aware, if we can go to the balcony and watch how we're behaving, that helps us build into this fair witnessing of our management style.
Now, that's a skill I've had to teach people, actually. I've had to teach them, and it wasn't objectivity. I put it in terms of detachment. How you can put at arm's length yourself away from somebody else so that you're not drawn into usually it's their drama, and visualize that with yourself to be able to rise above or step back from the strong emotion that you're feeling so that you can get a reasonable view of really what's happening.
Absolutely. And this notion of fair witnessing is, if you take a mental step back, as you were saying, and imagine that you are another person observing you, someone who sees you very clearly, and reflect on your actions, reflect on your strengths and your weaknesses and your mistakes and successes as though you are this impartial third party. Hard for us to do that, but important for us to do that to become a fair witness. And then to understand, what would he or she say about how you show up? And this one is the next one, number 2. Invite feedback. People who want to be fully self-aware know that none of us can see ourselves entirely clearly without the aid of others.
So glad you said that. I was wondering, all right, so one of those 7, you're going to bring this in because I am my worst critic and I am my best friend. And so any view I have of myself is shadowed, if you will, by that. No matter how much objectivity I'm able to bring into a situation, looking at myself for anything other than who am I right now and how am I doing compared to yesterday, does require a third party to point out and to flesh out the view I have of myself.
Well,
everything. Through my own lens, is going to be my own thoughts, right?
Well, and of course, and when we think about the Johari window, where the Johari window says that there are things that are unknown to self, things that neither we nor others know about us.
Yes.
That's a very introspective. You can't see that in the mirror. It's introspective. And that's where mindfulness and other practices come in, where you tune into your intuition and your gut feelings to really understand yourself at a level that enables you to become self-aware. And this theme about are leaders born or made, just for those that are just coming in, we're going to the side that says, this is nurture. And we're talking about the skills that allow us to be better leaders. And most of us have that opportunity. There are some that simply will never be great leaders. There's a few on the right, and there are some people that have leadership in their DNA. The bulk of humans live in the middle. And what we're talking about are the skills that we as humans can use to be better leaders. And I'm going to keep referring back to William Shakespeare, just simply because it makes me feel smart. It makes me feel smarter somehow.
It makes you sound smart too.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It actually is an outstanding quote. It's an outstanding quote. Go ahead.
Where William Shakespeare in the 12th Night says, "Be not afraid of greatness. Some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them."
And I'll tell you why I like that quote quickly, is the assurance to not be afraid of it.
Yes.
Because I was. And it's taken other people to gather around me over the years to help me in a variety of ways, some of which you're bringing out now with self-awareness and invite feedback, and the others that I'm anticipating you're going to have on your list. It's through them that I have been able to step into who I am and step out. Well,
I think, and I have a similar journey, and I think we're all born with superpowers. We all have the same superpowers, right? Of intellect and intuition and gut feeling, and we really have amazing gifts. Most of us unlearn those gifts, or we don't nurture them to use them. And it, like you, Charlene, I had to have people drag me kicking and screaming toward my own truth.
We left claw marks, didn't we?
Yeah, I was like holding on to my old self saying, do I really have all that? Really, me?
Yes.
And it was a brilliant guy who was educated at the London School of Economics. He had gone to the University of Pennsylvania, and he had hired me for brand strategy. And I was in awe of him and flattered and humbled by the hire. And one day we're sitting in his ginormous conference room, and his white ball, he had a wall of whiteboard, and he's doing this incredible scribe of the conversation on the whiteboard. And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, this guy is amazing. How on earth does he do this? And so I stopped him and I said, you're amazing. I don't know how you do this. He turned to me and he said, Art, you know why I pay you to come work with me? It's because unless you're in the room, this doesn't happen. I was like, wow. And it takes those moments of, it's not serendipity as much as somebody else telling you your own truth.
Yes,
and
it does.
And that's that unknown to self. It's not that. It's known to other people, but not seen in yourself. And that's really the work that I do with brands. And I've always done that is, I listen sufficiently to hear where the opportunities are and simply recite it back to the person that is saying those things. And they go just the way I did, like, wow, really? Mm-hmm. But that's a different blab. That's a different blab. And this one's on
part two.
That's part two, right? This is at least a 3-part blab. But this notion of inviting feedback as you're working on fair witness and being introspective and asking for feedback and going to the balcony and look at yourself in action is being a fair witness of your actions. But then there's inviting feedback, which is an integral part of nurturing your leadership skill. People who want to be fully self-aware know that none of us can see ourselves entirely clearly without the aid of others. It's like trying to know what you look like without having a mirror. If you want to have a more accurate sense of how you are operating in the world, build a small group of people who know you well, see you clearly, and want the best for you, and are willing to drop dead honest with you in service to that end. And, there are plenty of people that, that will say, oh, that's a wonderful looking tie. The tie is hideous. They're your friends. They're not going to hurt your feelings. You need somebody that's going to give you drop dead honest truth to invite the feedback. Now, I, over the years, have had great coaching, and there's some psychometric tests out there that where, 3,500 CEOs have taken a psychometric test, and here's how they lined up. And when you take the test, it shows you how you line up against some successful CEOs. And those are another way of inviting feedback. So you can take a mashup of the different kinds of feedbacks, whether it's a mastermind group where you've got a trusted leader and they've aligned with a bunch of interesting and thought-provoking people that you can trust, or a psychometric test. Inviting feedback is crucial. And on to number 3 is probably the skill that I learned earliest in my professional career that serves me best today, and it's to listen. It's foundational to success as a manager, listening. As a leader, as a parent, a spouse, a colleague, human being, we listen. And it's essential to true self-awareness. If you can learn to listen fully without filtering what you hear through your pre-existing notions, which is hard. We all have that blink. We see someone and we blink and we have this moment of what we think is the truth about them, when in reality, we're bringing our baggage to that moment. And when we decouple from that blink instinct and we actually listen, and often listening can be equated as seeking not to have sympathy with somebody, but having empathy with someone. And empathy, it takes work to nurture that skill as well. And I think empathy and listening go hand in hand, because you listen to gain empathy with the person that you're interacting with. Any thoughts on that, Charlene?
Well, actually, that's an area that I've always been very good in. I was born with the ability to empathize. And one of the skills that I have, or talents, if you will, that I've turned into a skill that because I've nurtured it a bit, is the listening portion, so that what happens is I have the ability to take the complicated and make it simple for whomever I'm working with, whether it's marketing or engineering or research or pulling together your insides because you're inside out and it's all a mess, That's oftentimes why people come to me. And oftentimes what will happen pretty much every time when somebody walks away from me after we've had a purposeful meeting is they just have the same look that you've given, where you've gotten it too, which is, I can't believe you were able to bring it down to that, or that you were able to see that. You're so spot on. I don't, I never would have come up with that because I'm this hot mess, whatever.
Yeah.
But it is an empathy. It's the ability to sit in Art Jones's seat and, to the best of my ability, see through Art Jones's eyes. And when you can do that, you really, truly have an understanding of the person you're working with, talking with, being around, and being a part of.
And Charlie,
and it can wear you out if you're not careful, but
it can wear you out. And there's an exercise. I spent a lot of time using storytelling, and years ago when I began using storytelling, it was the outbound storytelling to build community, to engage, to insert a narrative into the ideal prospect's narrative to attract them to my brand and to the brands of the people that I serve. But then I realized that storytelling affects our neurology and biology in a very powerful way. And if that's true, if it affects the neurology and biology of the audience, it surely can affect the neurology and biology of ourselves. And so the narratives that we tell ourselves are important. But when we seek to understand, to listen to someone, and we think we've walked a mile in their shoes, here's an exercise that I do. I challenge my clients to get a pad and a pen and say, okay, so you've done the research and you say you've taken and you've listened to your ideal prospect. So what I want you to do is not tell me what it's like to be them. I want you to be them. I want you to take this pen and write a letter to their confidant, to their mom, their dad, their college roommate, their Cub Scout, Girl Scout buddy, whoever it is, and write the letter, talk about what's going on in their life right now, and talk about what's going on in their business.
Be them.
Be them in that letter. And most people go, how am I supposed? But we all can get there.
I can do that. I don't know how to teach that. Do you know how to teach that? I don't know how to teach that.
Yes.
I can do that.
It's a beautiful exercise because it is a pushback initially because people go, well, I'm not sure how to do that. Well, this is the process. Because if storytelling is going to be an effective tool to call your audience to action, you first have to know what the narrative of your audience is. And if you can write the letter as if you are that audience, then when you do insert your message into that audience,
it's extremely effective.
They're like megaphone. Their ears perk up and they go, oh my gosh, they're singing my song. So
the only way I would know to guide somebody to do that when we're talking about listening to your audience or getting to know your customer base or your target market, to even determine if you even get them, when we talk about listening to your market online especially, is to find them, identify them on social media platforms and watch their conversations and get the rhythm of the words that they use, the language that they're using, and possibly experiment to see if you can participate in the discussions with something helpful in that language and get response and elicit requests for more information about you, not the product, not the service, but about you.
Yeah.
That's as close as I can get to saying how you listen to learn about your audience.
And I think that tools like Blab and Twitter and Periscope and just go LinkedIn, you go down the list. If you define your ideal prospect persona, profile and persona, you at least have defined them. Then you use tools like Blab to just come on Blab and listen to them. Yes. If Roy Montero is my ideal prospect and people like him, right, then I don't come in and try to engage Roy. I listen to Roy and I listen to what Roy responds to the most, because the blog post that he responds to or the thing on Blab he responds to the most is what matters most. And if that matters to him and all my ideal prospects are like him, then that is what I should produce, the kind of content I should produce to get him to respond to my ideas. And so listening is a strength of a leader. And because in today's world, we all have the opportunity to lead, then listening with the tools that are available to us, like Blab and Twitter and all the other 1,500 tools that are out there, we listen to where our ideal prospect gathers on and offline to understand them in an intimate way so we can insert our value into their narrative. Not in a malicious way, but in a way that we are in service to them because we know that we've designed a product, service, solution that changes their world, that fixes something broken in their universe. And that's a very, very powerful
it is
tool
in terms of marketing, but I want you to step it up to the leader, because I think that's where the empathy comes in. Make you effective marketer if you have the combination. Absolutely. But doesn't it make you, or can't that one piece in conjunction with the others? Of course, this is only number 3, but listening with the ability to have empathy for whom you're working with, be it you and I right now, or in a group, having a cup of coffee, or whatever the scenario may be. To have that combination, does that not elevate you to a position of leadership?
I think going back to Shakespeare,
all right, don't fall back out every time on Shakespeare.
I love Shakespeare, but whether it's thrust upon us or we embrace it or we start with it, we are all leaders, and because of the ubiquitous technology that's available to us, right? I mean, I'm on a computer. I've got a computer in my hand. I've got a tablet next to me. I mean, we have platforms that give voice to our ideas. And as such, so each of us is a leader. And so when we use the skills we're talking about.
I'm just going to disagree with you.
Well, good. That's
because
good.
I've thought about it since you first said it. I don't think that each of us is a leader. I think each of us can be. I think to be a leader, you have to have followers. And it's all well and good to blast your idea out, but if you don't have anybody following or wanting to hear it, are you really a leader?
I think that, and so this is the premise of the book that I hope to bring out in April.
Mm-hmm.
Stand up to stand out. And it's the idea that
Okay.
because of these technologies, I can take what I believe and what I believe, if I'm committed to what I believe and I stand up for what I believe, then I can promote what I believe. And because we're tribal as humans, people that believe what I believe will gather around that idea. And then I am thrust into the leadership role. And if I accept the responsibility to lead with my ideas, I'm accepting the role of leadership.
It. All right. You crossed the line into a better definition. Thank you. Because it fleshed it out. You fleshed it out because it simply was exactly what's being said to the side. Trevor's saying, well, if the definition of a leader is the one who has followers and everyone on Twitter is a leader.
And Roy says
no, that's not true. That's not true.
Roy says it, I think the way I said it, we are all leaders in the sense that we must first lead ourselves before we lead anyone else. Now, while we are all leaders, we are not all good at great leaders. And so we thrust our ideas, when we stand up for our ideas, give us the platform because of the tools that are available to us to be as powerful a leader as anyone else.
All right.
And when people gather around because they respond, because the ideas resonate with them, then the mantle of leadership grows. And our skills as leader need to nurture, to mature so we can lead. Because in this notion of our ideas, when we have these ideas, they should be in service to something that's broken in the world, people or businesses, and making meaning. And if that's true, then making meaning comes with the responsibility. And that responsibility is to lead.
All right.
And so, but welcome, Omar.
Welcome. Thank you. It's my birthday. So I just wanted to get in. And, I'm 63 years old, man. And, this title is so appropriate for now. Are leaders born or made? So what I say is that I changed it around, changed the topic. I changed it to we're all winners, but some just don't know how to win. And you can be taught how to win. Is that relevant? Okay. Or I can say we're all leaders. We're all leaders, but some don't know how to lead. I think scared.
I think, Omar, I think you're right. I think that winners, leaders. I mean, we're getting into semantics now, but I think we're both saying the same thing because each of us, because of where we are in 2015, practically 2016, we have left things that happened 15, 16 years ago behind us. And we have changed largely culturally. I mean, when Blab announced that they had a new feature and put a map in the upper right-hand corner of Blab and showed us that we might be on a Blab with a global audience.
Right.
Then if you, Omar, have an idea that you put out there on Blab and a global audience hears it, then they say, wow, that Omar guy, wow, he really that was a great idea. I want to know more about Omar. And they go to your profile, they go to your Twitter profile, they find out how to contact you. Then you're leading with those ideas, whoever's contacting you. Because and the way I see it is that there's 7 billion people on the planet. And that means there's a lot more than me. But it also means that when I have an idea that I believe in, that there's a tribe out there that believes what I believe. They just are. And it might not be a huge tribe, but in the world of business, how big a tribe do you need? Do I need to sell pens to everyone in India to make a business? Or do I need to find out how the pen that I've designed serves some smaller segment of the world to help them accomplish more? And then I have a business that thrives on the meaning of the intention of why this is a great pen.
Okay.
And I think that's different. But I want to go back to this notion of listening real quick. And this is just to finish that thought, because listening and empathy are central to what becoming a good leader is. And both are subtle and overt, right? It's about how we show up in the world. It's what we think, what people think of our style, and how we're impacting them. The next one is even more challenging for most of us. Listening, I have a habit that I've worked on for a lot of years to not jump in. I've been a salesperson most of my career, and the skill of listening, asking one insightful and thoughtful question to get your prospect to do all the talking so you can determine what the implied need is and find the explicit need is the way you sell. But human nature is you want to get your 2 cents in. So I've always had to pull the reins back to restrain myself, but even more than restraining myself while listening, it's accepting and even embracing vulnerability as a strength of a leader.
Right. Your vibe attract your tribe, Roy. You had to put something heavy in there.
Roy, that was a good one, man. That was a good one.
Roy, he's the master of the wordsmith, boy, I tell you.
And so it's this notion of vulnerability is more about collaboration and co-creation, because you're saying that I'm humble and I know a tribe, a team can accomplish more, right? And I don't want to be a solo operator, because more and more current business leaders are coming to a similar realization about this notion of vulnerability. We know we need to search for new structures and habits that cultivate and foster shared values and inspire a commitment to significance. That's the only way we can exert our leadership authority through our people. And that's whether they're employees or whether they're the tribe that you're leading. You have to abdicate control to all accomplish more together.
Yeah, I really like the way you integrated, the technology in leadership. To say that, like when you talk about the new platforms that we have, say we are early adopters here. We're the first on Blab and on Periscope. Now, the ones who learn or take the gall to go out on a Periscope or to start a Blab, to start a show like you guys, those are the leaders. When the masses come in, we'll be here. So, these are the things that we're attracted to get out and know that we have the content or the capability or even the desire and nerve to do so. And naturally, from broadcasting across the planet, of course, we're going to attract somebody that will buy European or...
Well, think about it this way, Omar. At 2,500 years ago, Plato, Aristotle, and Socrates stood on the steps. They did the work and did the research. They coalesced their ideas, and then they stood on the steps in Greece and became orators, and they told the story of what they believed. Okay. I still read Aristotle today, and he still leads what I believe. They had the steps in Greece. We have whatever social platform, whatever broadcast media, whether podcast, whatever blog that you choose to use, is not less powerful than the steps that Plato used when he was 2,500 years ago standing on the steps. And he gathered a crowd or a community around him that believed what he believed and learned from him and solved the problems in the world by listening and learning from those guys. So each of us has a similar opportunity. And this notion of a vulnerability, though, is important, because the realization that we should be vulnerable as leaders is it generates some insecurity. Nobody wants to be vulnerable. Nobody wants to be exposed. And it engenders confusion, because, well, I thought leaders were crack the whip, make them do as I say, but we live in a different time now. And we have to courageously move beyond our conventional practice of using only carrots and sticks, rewards and punishments, rules and policies to extract performance out of people in the task-based jobs. Instead, we should experiment with extending trust, connecting and collaborating around value-based missions that inspire principled performance and hope in people. Those things you would not have heard in the last century in many companies. This is the new wave of thinking about how to marshal resources, how to build community, how to grow teams. It's I think the theme over this idea listening and empathy and vulnerability is collaborate to co-create solutions. And I have a blab that I did a while ago that said, sales is dead. Now what? Right? Because I don't want to be sold anymore. That was the carrot stick. They tried to motivate me through neuro-linguistic programming, right? As opposed to collaborating with me to help me find the solution that was going to maximize my spend and optimize the performance of whatever I was buying in my world. There's another, because if you're listening, if you're empathetic and you're vulnerable, then there's extending trust. And by the way, anybody in the stream that wants to take that open seat, hop in here. We'd love to have more ideas mashed up in this conversation.
Yeah. All right. Before you go on, hold that thought. Let me ask you this about the stairs and Aristotle and all those guys, and blend this with technology. And I'm going to jump off and listen to the answer. Okay. Do you think that the periscope and the blab is the stairway or the stairs now? Or what if they had this? What if they had blab and periscope? Is this the same opportunity? Is this our stairway now that we're broadcasting into the universe or to the international scene? Because if they had periscope and blab, I think the world would be a really different place now.
I think the answer is, in Greece, in the world that was much smaller then, the stairs that they stood on were Facebook. That was, the only blog in existence in Greece. I think what's uniquely different is that it was a smaller world. They didn't have blab. What's uniquely similar is that they stood up for the ideas that they believed. They stood on those steps and told what they believed, and they took slings and arrows. People disagreed with them. Not everybody agreed with them. And
so they didn't have the technology. Wait a second. They didn't have the technology we have as in real-time live stream. But they still took pen to paper, ink to papyrus. They still recorded and shared.
Yeah, and so
those who listened recorded and then shared with the rest of the world that could read, and those that couldn't read, it was read too by their leaders.
The only thing that's different about their world and our world is that our ideas travel at the speed of the internet, and their ideas traveled at the speed of papyrus or goat skin or something like that. So maybe that's the simple answer. But I think that the marvelous and wonderful truth is that because of technology, each of us has the same opportunity that Plato had. Stand on the steps of your blog or your video blog or whatever platform, but you stand there on the steps of that video blog because you know your audience is on that video channel, and you'll reach them when you speak to them.
So Art, are you saying that, okay, so if my point of the stairs or my mission is Bitcoins, that I should stand on my blab or my stairs and talk about Bitcoin, even if nobody want to talk about it, or I'm the only one out here?
I think what I would do if I was in the Bitcoin, I would say, who's my ideal prospect for Bitcoin? Where do they gather on and offline? If they're on this blog and they use this technology to gather and talk about money, that's where I go. I don't go to a platform and present hoping that a crowd will gather. I listen to all of the platforms. I define my prospect over here, and I say, where are they likely to be? Then I go to those places on and offline. And I say, well, I went to 5 places offline, and they're only at 2. I'm going to continue to go there and listen to what they want. And then the online platforms, I went to these 5 online platforms. They're only at 1.
Okay, I got a problem here then. It's like I'm on the stairs. I'm on the stairs.
Are you on the stairs in the right place?
Yeah, I mean, this is what I like. I like being on the stairs on Blab.
Well, wait a second.
I don't like blogging. I don't like Facebook. I don't like all that other stuff.
Omar, it's not about you, Omar. It's not about you.
Yeah, there's the key.
It's not about you. It's about, if you're in service to somebody that you're trying to help with Bitcoin, where are they at? Where do they gather? And when you think, and this is what listening and empathy is all about.
Okay.
When you are empathetic to the person that you think that you can change their world, change the trajectory of their business or their life by introducing Bitcoin to them, then that service orientation says that I'm going to listen to them in the fabric of the World Wide Web, and I'm only going to go to the places where they gather. I'm not going to try to change them. I'm not going to change them to come to where I'm at.
All right, but we're talking about leadership here.
No. That's leadership is knowing who you are leading.
Everybody.
No.
Okay.
This is a different blab, Omar. This is a different blab. Yes. You cannot tell me that you want to sell Bitcoin to the 7 billion people on the planet. That is not an ideal prospect definition to me. You can have 6 different prospects, but you have to define them. You have to know them in an intimate way. And until you've done that, I think you're still listening. Because if you're broadcasting, you're interrupting everybody in the hope that you're finding somebody. And you need my permission to market to me. And in order to get my permission, you have to give me something of value, and you have to know me in a material way.
So are leaders mostly rejected at first for bringing something different in?
I think this is we need a separate blab to answer your question.
That's part 3. That's part 3 of the 3-part blab series that Art's been planning.
What's up, Roy?
Can I just interject one thing here? One thing you can do, Omar, is find existing leaders within the Bitcoin community.
Yeah,
and see how they are interacting with their target market and their audience. And begin emulating them, not copying, mirroring, or flat out trying to fake it like you are them.
Yeah, we're talking about Bitcoin. We're talking about leadership here. And that's why I haven't stood for it. But let Roy say something here.
Hey guys. Hey Art.
Thanks, Roy.
Topic. Hey Charlene.
Hey,
Omar. I just got a few things I'm going to jump off. Brother, you know me, right? I'm going to go right for the jugular. Number 1. You got to go an inch wide and a mile deep.
There you go.
If you say my target audience is anybody who fogs up a mirror, you're talking to nobody. Nobody will hear you. You have to step on those stairs, and there have to be people there listening to the sound of your voice who go, Omar, me too.
Okay.
And if nobody's there, get off those stairs and do what Charlene just said and find those people who are already in service to these people who are interested in your topic, in this case, Bitcoin, and provide for them something other than this person is providing for them. Collaborate or collaborate and co-create with this person. That's the only way you're going to succeed. If you think leadership is telling people what to do, you is wrong, sir. Okay? Leadership is going out there and doing what you know to do and look behind you to see the following you have gathered, because they have all said, me too. That's the key. You want to find people who say me too to what your message is.
Yes.
One more thing. Don't change your message if your message is right. Change your audience. I'm done. Guys, thanks.
Thank you, Roy. Thank you. That was wonderful.
Yeah, that was a good reminder.
I learned that from Roy a long time ago, and so the only thing come up is, so there's a few people on Blab. There's a few people here, so maybe I should just stick with them, not trying to narrow it down. I got a few people that'll listen. And really, it's like, but everybody, it's about the money. Everybody have dollars and stuff. It's just a new transition. But I'm not getting into that. We're talking about, leadership. And I think that now, I was born a leader, but I haven't been leading, not on the live stream or anything. I've been leading my own business, my own tree service and all that stuff. But now is the time at my birthday that I come forth and I establish a blab. If nobody come on there but Roy or Charlene to talk to me about what is the Bitcoin, which I know little about, I'll be there.
So Omar, here's to build on what Roy said, and it's the notion that if we all have the opportunity to lead, what we're discussing is that we generally agree that we can nurture our leadership skills and become better at it, but I'm going to read this comment to you.
Okay.
Self-making. This is the notion of what businesses do. They call it creative self-disruption. They disrupt what they believe so they can accomplish more by finding what works, right? Creative self-disruption. They disrupt their own thinking to embrace thinking that really will help them be more successful. And this self-making endeavor requires tough work. And it requires that we undertake an ongoing journey. After all, if we don't self-make or remake our leadership approach, we won't succeed. And many of us will be out of a job, supplanted by others who are more tuned to new sources to make advantage. So if each of us, if we want to hold on to old beliefs, it's adapt to what works or perish, right? And none of us want to perish. And that's what this blab is about. We've talked about a couple of things. We've talked about become a fair witness, step out of yourself and look at the behaviors that you have and how people perceive you and how you think of yourself. And the other is invite feedback. We're giving feedback now. Roy is, Charlene is, I am. Listen to your audience before you engage your audience so you know what they want. Accept and be vulnerable to your audience so you can really understand them, and then engender trust by telling the story of your audience and the value of your solution to that audience. And storytelling is the best way to engender trust. And, you know, I'm going to segue just really quickly to, there's a fellow who wrote a book, Dov Seidman, and the book is called How. He was a contributor to Thomas Friedman when he wrote the book. I'm having a brain fart all of a sudden.
You said how? Just one word, how?
It's Dov Seidman, S-E-I-D-M-A-N. And Seidman, he argues that in our hyper-connected and transparent world, how you do things matters more than ever. How you do things. Because so many people can now see how you do things, be affected by how you do things, and tell others how you do things on the internet anytime. So for no cost and without restraint. And so it must be with us. We need to get back to collaborating the old-fashioned way. That is, people making decisions based on business judgment, experience, prudence, clarity of communication, and thinking about how, not just how much. It used to be, you know, how much revenue did you generate this quarter? You know, and now it's how you generated that revenue that matters more. So and welcome, Brian Keith Rohr.
Hey, how are you?
I am well. Brian. How are you?
I am good. Hey, Omar.
Yeah.
What kind of movies do you like?
I like movies where the underdog wins.
Okay.
You know, like Jerry Maguire. That's got to be my favorite movie.
I'm a huge cowboy movie fan.
Okay.
Have you ever seen a snake oil salesman on a cowboy movie?
Of course. Yeah, he come into town with the snake oil and everybody buys it. They line up around the truck. Exactly. He's got an actor out there and they just put on a real show.
But there are also people in the background walking by the snake oil salesperson. Your audience is the people that are listening, not the people in the background. They can just keep on walking.
Okay.
I think you're trying to encompass the people walking too, and they don't want to hear it. They just want to keep on going.
Wow, now that's a story. You saw that? Did you teach him how to do that, Art? That's what
no, I just met Brian, but we're all singing from the same hymn book, and that's what's important, Omar. And I'm gonna kind of build on that because I think what Brian is talking about is behavior, and what's talked about in this book, How, by Dov Seidman, is behavior. And I'm just going to read just a quick definition.
Can you spell that last name again slowly, please?
S-E-I. Hold on. S-E-I-D-M-A-N.
Okay.
And so everything we've talked about in this nurture of leadership is our behaviors, listening, being vulnerable. These are behaviors. And so the definition of behavior is, it's a noun, the way in which one acts or conducts oneself. especially towards others. Good behavior is conduct, deportment, bearing, so forth. We have to embrace the behaviors that work today with people today. And it goes to connecting morally and ethically. It goes to acting with character. I mean, there's a lot of these are blab 2, 3, and 4 on this subject of leadership that we can really get to, because this is a skills development discussion that I believe each of us has the opportunity to benefit from, because whether we're standing on the steps in Greece 2,500 years ago, or we're standing in front of our camera with a video blog, this notion of how we behave when we are standing in front of that video blog, that camera, and how we are perceived, the truth of who we are to our audience, is in large part it telegraphs how successful we will be in gathering a community around our ideas, building a brand, building a business, and helping that community accomplish more by getting our product, service, or solution. And if they do benefit more, then we will make money. But that's the behavioral thinking that says it's not how much we sell anymore, it's how we behave when we engage that community that we want to gather around our ideas. Because there are people out there that want to know what you know. But the behavior and the way we engage.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let me share. Is this an example that a good leader never raises his voice?
I don't know if that's a truth or not. I don't know if that's a truth or not. I think if you begin with the context that we live in an interconnected world, that the way we behave in any moment in time, especially in a live stream environment that's being recorded, people can Google Blab and Google Art Jones, and they will have a sense of who Art Jones is. And I think the word authenticity is overused, but my truth, I hope, comes through, because I am a business professional and I like art. So the business professional, you can hear about what I believe as a professional, and my persona, you can tell that I like art. If you put those two things together, you have begun to understand my truth. And that is, we lead with our truth before we sell anything.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and, so if you're passionate about it, if you're passionate about your art, if you're excited about it, or, if you get emotional about it, or you lose control about it,
you don't want to lose control. Let's go back.
Like, it's like, my art is check it out. Look at how great my art is. You're passionate about your art. And
but that's like saying, Omar, that's like saying that I could go to I could leave Tucson, Arizona, I could fly to JFK, I could go to Times Square and hold my art up and say, my art, so I stand in Times Square and this is my art. And I say, okay, everybody over here, look, I've got great art. You know what that's called? That's called outbound marketing. I interrupt everybody in Times Square in hopes that they're going to look at me.
Snake oil. We can say snake oil.
No, but that's outbound marketing, which is this. It's like putting a billboard up on putting this as a billboard on the 10 freeway in Los Angeles. Millions of people go by there every day.
Right.
And I put this billboard up because I hope that somebody in one of those 10 million cars is going to like what this billboard says. But I interrupt everybody in all of those cars that have to look at this. That's interruption marketing. We don't do that anymore. I will not go to Times Square and stand up with this piece of art and say, look at me, I'm an artist. Don't you like my art? I have to interrupt everybody in Times Square in hopes that somebody in Times Square says, oh, that's nice. Or it's like me going to a networking event, right? Okay. And instead of meeting people and greeting people and helping them understand who I am and understanding who they are and how I can help them, I stand on a table in the networking event with 100 people and I say, hey, everybody over here, Art Jones, I'm here, and this is what I do. I interrupted everybody in the networking event in hopes that somebody cared about what I was offering. That's not what we do anymore. That was last century. Today, it's permission marketing says that if I have an idea, I publish that idea on whatever platform I believe my ideal prospects gather on. And when they see my idea, they say, oh my gosh, that guy's got good ideas. And I say, if you want more of those ideas, give me your email address. You get my newsletter. When they give me their email address, they've given me permission to market to them. Until they've done that, until they give me permission, I'm just putting ideas out there.
Right.
And that's my counsel to you as a Bitcoin artist, as a Bitcoin purveyor of Bitcoin. Don't interrupt everybody in hopes that you find somebody. Determine who you serve. Write it down. I serve, they're this age, they make this much money, they work in these industries, they live in these regions of the world. And then on the other side, say that they like dogs, not cats. Okay. You know why I say dogs, not cats? Because if you like dogs and they like dogs, you have found somebody that gets you at a really intimate level. And you'll be able to speak to them knowing something about them because you define them. They make this much money. They're a man, not a woman. They work in these kind of industries. They have this kind of income, blah, 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 blah. And they like the arts. They like dogs and they're athletic. That you have the profile definition. You have the profile persona. When you've done that work, then when you stand on the steps, then when you stand in front of your camera, you know exactly who you're talking to. And you know exactly how to talk to that person. And that, friends, is about an hour of blabbing.
We are at the top of the hour.
So, Alex Mendozian, he said that what you just described is that it has come from the masculine marketing to the feminine type.
Oh wow, who said
that? Alex Mendozian.
Is Alex in the stream?
Alex, no. Well, he's going to be on Blab soon.
There's the notion, Omar, and I think that's a beautiful, beautiful comment. And I think it's the yin and yang. Yang, men are from Mars, women are from Venus, right? And if we could channel more yin, we'd use the tools that are available to us to listen more because yin listens. That's women listen better than men. You ever been driving down the road with a woman in the car and you know where you're going, but you're really not sure, but the guy will drive right past the right turn he's supposed to make when the woman says, I think that was the right turn. Shouldn't we have turned back there? You say, no, I got it. And you drive for 10 more, you drive into Kansas because you want to be right. You can fix it. Whereas women take the time to listen to what needs to be done. The Dalai Lama, the Pope and Desmond Tutu and a bunch of other people on the planet said about 10 years ago that if women were in more leadership positions in government and business in the world today, the world would not be in the mess that it is today because we would end up with better outcomes. And so I'm saying all that to say to build on what you said about the female ethos. Because we talked earlier about leadership as a morality, an ethic, a way of doing business. And I think that it is certainly moving toward. I did a blab a couple of weeks ago. Who are better leaders, men or women? And it was a loaded question. The answer is women.
Right.
And
smile and look at her.
Yeah, and Omar, to your point.
No objection here. No objection.
To Omar's point, if men, we have to learn how to turn our turbo jets off and slow down a little bit. There's a problem that needs fixing. Men will rush to the problem and fix it, whereas women will inspect the problem, look at it, ask for collaboration, and get a better outcome. Men are learning how to do that, and the more we do that, and the sooner we get to that, the better leaders we can become. So I'm going to take this blab off the record and go into the after party or whatever we want to call it. But I have to say that this really, for me, has been a joy sitting in the seat next to you, Charlene, because you've added so many good ideas to the conversation. And thanks to everyone in the stream that popped into a seat or had that thoughtful and insightful commentary running in the stream, because, there's a lot has been said. I will have to go back and look at this blab and read the stream, Because I think the thing for me about Blab is that I often pivot toward more knowledge and feel like I'm smarter after I've been on Blab with all of the smart people that participate in this particular channel. So thanks to everyone. Once again, my name is Art Jones. I'm the principal consultant at Tao Marketing, which is brand strategy, storytelling, marketing, so we can sell better, and getting alignment between ourselves and the ideal prospects that we serve. And Charlene, as we sign off, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'll be happy to. So it's been a pleasure to be on here with you, Art, and those in the stream. I too feel more knowledgeable, and I'm grateful that you even started this so that I could learn more. I'm Charlene Burke. I founded Search by Burke in 2008 to work with businesses and provide business research so they can make smart decisions regarding their marketing efforts. And in 2014, I started Grow Because You Know, so that I could work with individuals and help them grow with the right tools, some of those being software tools, and more importantly, and close to my heart, is mastermind groups that I facilitate for solopreneurs.
So this is leadership. Are leaders born or made? And Charlene's going to say, not again, Art, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to quote Shakespeare because I was going to leave you with an idea. Shakespeare said in the 12th Night, and this really caps off what I think this Blab is about, because this Blab is about opportunity that we all have. Be not afraid of greatness. Some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them. If not you, then who? We all have the opportunity to lead. So thanks everybody for tuning into this Blab, and we hope that you'll tune in on Saturdays. We're going to be talking about leadership in one form or other, because I think it is integral to what our brand is, what our marketing is, how we sell whatever product, service, or solution that we bring to bear. So thanks everybody, and see you next time.